What's up, YouTube? It is your girl, Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. Starting off, in our first row, we do get the Knight of Pentacles, which is coming out as the Master Builder. And we also get the Five of Pentacles, which does speak of being out in the cold. And we also get the Judge. And we get the House card in the reverse, which does speak of the Tower in the traditional tarot spread. And it looks like we have a situation regarding a Knight of Pentacles, which does speak of whenever I think of this Knight in the traditional tarot, he's usually, of course, he's riding on a horse. And he's actually, in search of pentacles. And it looks like this Knight may be feeling like out in the cold in some sort. And maybe probably this Judge has this Master Builder Knight feeling like he's out in the cold. Maybe this Knight was in search of pentacles. And also he was probably even in search of something, maybe trying to attain a house. This may have something to do with a house that this Master Builder was working upon. And we got the Judge standing up straight. And when you see a judge standing, it's either he's saying all rise, order in the court, contempt of court, or that's pretty much the only things. Of maybe a dismissal also will probably bring a judge up out of his seat. And it's something that this Master Builder, he may be feeling out in the cold because this Judge maybe made a decision regarding this house. Or maybe this Judge made a decision about his pinnacle that did give him a reversed tower. Because he's coming out as this Master Builder. And those are masons, and they're usually bricklayers. So maybe this actual Knight did some work on this house, Maybe he felt like a bricklayer of this house, that he's now feeling left out in the cold regarding this house that he was a Master Builder upon. But I'm assuming that this Judge has probably put this situation into the reverse. There was a court ruling made, because you see he's standing up right out of his seat. He's not even sitting down. And normally when judges stand up, it's usually to do one of those three things that I mentioned earlier regarding this Master Builder coming out as the Knight of Pentacles, that's a knight that's in search of pentacles. He's in search of money. He's looking for money. Whenever you see that coming out. And this Judge has made a decision that has left this Master Builder feeling out in the cold. Maybe this Judge put this Master Builder out of this house. Because in our second row, we do next have the 10 of Pentacles coming out in that second row with the message of the Axon body cam on that card, along with the 3 of Pentacles, which it does show a person that is working on something in the dark. And it's usually a team effort whenever you speak of that 3 of Pentacles. Something that was worked upon in the dark regarding a mature male, because it does also come out in the second row. And then we get an officer in the reverse coming out in that second row. Right on top of this 10 of Pentacles and this mature man. This mature man, is probably the same character as this knight, which is this actual master builder, you know. And whatever that he worked upon at night with a team, it may have something to do with, finances. All these pentacles out here. We got 10, 15, 16, 18. We got 19 and the 9 and the 1. That's a 10 of pentacles. So this mature man and this knight was definitely working on some pentacles, in search of pentacles through this courthouse. And then we get this officer in the reverse, which probably means that maybe he was a part of the team, by him coming out in the reverse. We get that dirty law official come out a lot. And then we got this body cam, which does speak of something being recorded. And I'm not sure if it's dealing with this dirty law official or this actual Knight of Pentacles that's actually coming out as being left in the cold. And then you got a mature man here, which I do believe is the Knight of Pentacles. He was in search of something, that's depicted. That's what the tarot card picture does depict on it, that this knight is in search of a pinnacle. And he's actually really consumed by the imagery, the feel, the makeup. And he in Pentacles is something that really moved this knight into action, but it's left him feeling out in the cold. Whatever verdict that this judge did come back with, probably regarding a house, and also even regarding a 10 of Pentacles, because we do get that coming out in the second row, a house and a 10 of Pentacles. Someone's feeling left out in the cold due to a verdict that the judge gave, and he may have court ordered him out of this house. It's kind of what this first row is looking like. And whomever this mature man is, he was a part of the team, and he did work on something in secret, This was being worked on in secret, even involving an officer, that did come out. There was a team effort, something that was being done in the background, and it is regarding, like I said, a Knight of Pentacles and a mature man and this judge and a house. So that's a little bit to follow. This judge left someone out in the cold regarding the decision that he made about this house. It left this Knight of Pentacles feeling left out in the cold. And this mature man, like I said, he may have done some teamwork behind the scenes with this crooked officer here, because this officer comes out in the reverse. And he's probably in on the team to obtain this Ten of Pentacles here. You know, they did work on stuff behind the scenes. This mature man and this officer had some things that they worked upon behind the scenes. They worked upon it, as a team effort to gain a Ten of Pentacles, to attain a Ten of Pentacles. And there may be some type of evidence or proof on camera about these efforts to attain this Ten of Pentacles. Because this judge has risen up out of his actual seat, to speak, to dismiss, or to rule, or to actually, order in the court. He can stand for that as well. Or I'm trying to think of all the reasons that this judge would stand up. But the very first time he does stand is usually to tell the other court attendees to have a seat, or that's the first thing that he usually does and says. He usually addresses the court in the very beginning, and then he may have to stand up during the trial or during the case for whatever reason. Sometimes something will rouse him up out of his seat due to high emotions, or due to some type of order in the court that he is actually trying to, obtain. Because next in our third row, we do get the Sun card in the reverse, which does speak of darkness, So whatever that this mature man and this officer worked together on behind the scenes, it was all surrounded with darkness. And, we get this message card coming out, which comes by the way of this Page of Pentacles, which is here to deliver a message. Probably, maybe this message is regarding a main female that is coming out as being surrounded in darkness, or there's something that's just not seen about this main female. And her lover, is also coming out in that third row. Something regarding a lover and a main female. And darkness, or maybe a lack of clarity about this main female and her lover. There may be something that's unknown about this main female and her lover, and this page is here to actually bring in the information, about this main female and her lover. And there's so many characters on here. I'm having a little trouble keeping up, because we got a master builder coming out first, which that just tells me that somebody was working on something, and it has something to do with this house. And even in search of, this knight is usually in search of money, because he's taken back by the sight, the touch, and the even, the shininess of this type of money. It does it for him. This knight, this master builder, is in search of money. And then we got a judge, we got a mature man, and then we got an officer. Also, we got the lover, which this lover can be any one of these other gentlemen coming out in the first two rows. But it looks like this lover is dealing with this main female and her lover. Maybe they are actually cloaked. They're not able to be seen. They're covered in darkness, and that probably goes both ways when it talks about the type of efforts and intentions that they serve with, that they lead with. And it also probably deals with them being cloaked, and no one's aware that they are lovers. That's what makes the sun come out in the reverse when we're talking about these two individuals. And this main female, she may be teamed up with this mature man and this officer, you know. But it looks like this judge has actually stood up out of his seat, and he's even issued order in the court. And if he's not issued order in the court, then he's actually dismissing something, you know, or he's making a ruling about this house. And this ruling is it's not going in the favor, you know, that these actual two people or three people, this officer, this mature man, and this main female, you know, they did not get the ruling that they expected in this court. Because next in our fourth row, we do get the Two of Pentacles. And it got the message of self-control in the reverse. So that lets me know that someone didn't have any self-control. And also someone was coming out as a ball dropper, you know. When that Two of Pentacles is in the verse, that means somebody has dropped the ball, dropped two balls, regarding this Six of Wands in the reverse. And this does speak of a victory in the traditional tarot, but it's got to be in the upright, because when it comes out in the reverse, this is directly speaking of a loss. It is not a victory. Someone did not win due to their lack of self-control. You know, they probably didn't win in this court. Like I said, this judge is standing up out of his seat to make a verdict, you know. And it's also dealing with some aspects of a community in the reverse. Whatever ruling that he did make, and whatever loss and whatever balls were dropped, you know, due to this no self-control, probably about this lover and this main female, you know, because we do get the jealousy card in the reverse, which to me it just speaks of anger. Because how much of a degree of jealousy is there on the spectrum? You know, either you are or you are not. And so when I see this in the reverse, it just depicts to me jealousy is gonna be anger if it's in the reverse. Oh, and they're angry because they lost. They lost something because they dropped the ball. They did not attain a victory. And you know, when you are juggling balls, it does require self-control and discipline, you know, because you have to have time management skills also to be able to, like, you know, rotate more than one ball, you know, in a sequence. But whatever happened when we're talking about this balls drop and this no victory coming out as a loss and this anger and jealousy, it's got this community in the reverse, you know. And I'm confused about that because I don't even know. You know, I can't fathom who this community could be that's going to be upset about an actual verdict about a house. And even this verdict is regarding a Ten of Pentacles, you know, because we do get that twice. Because when you add all these pentacles up, you do get 19, which you add the 9 and the 1, which is 10. So that's a 10 of Pentacles, which does come out as the actual card in itself. So that's what this verdict was about. It was about a house, and it was also about a 10 of Pentacles. And it was, you know, the verdict was made. The verdict was made. Somebody did drop the ball, you know, due to no self-control, no discipline. And they did not attain a victory in this court. Because in our fifth row, we do get the Ace of Cups coming out, and it speaks of diffusing the situation. And that Ace of Cups in the reverse, it speaks of also a brand new beginning in love or an offer of love. But see, when it's in the reverse, it doesn't speak of that. It's gonna speak of probably this cup was poured out. This love was spilt over because there was no victory. All of this verdict about this house and this 10 of Pentacles, it actually throw this cup of love into the reverse. Because it throw the community in the reverse, and it actually did throw this cup of love in the reverse. Due to some jealousy over what they could not attain in court, because there was no victory with that Six of Wands being in the reverse. And then we also get the Three of Cups coming out in that fifth row, right on top of the Ace of Cups, which, there's no brand new beginnings of love, because the situation was not diffused. This situation just rose and rose and rose into a boiling point regarding this Three of Cups, which that speaks of celebrations and parties and things like that. And it's got this community, so that celebration and parties is actually connected to this community, that they were having. Thinking, probably they were thinking that they were going to get a victory in this community regarding some situations that were being juggled, and that were also not even being seen. They were in the background. These hidden, these hidden issues and these things that were being celebrated, and that they refused to diffuse this community. It throw them in the reverse. Whatever verdict that they did get about this 10 of Pentacles and about this house, something has come to a complete end with this Death card coming out. And the complete end came upon a sudden wealth, which does confirm that 10 of Pentacles that we saw coming out in the second row. There was a death to this sudden wealth. There was an end to this sudden wealth, and there was also an end to this brand new beginning in love. There was an end to this beginning in love. That was what it was. And there was also an end put to these celebrations and these parties within this community, because they got the situation. The block was hot. Whenever I see that, diffuse the situation in the reverse, it kind of speaks of the block being hot. You know what I mean? And they put an end to their celebrations, and it put an end to their brand new beginnings, because they got the block hot. This whole community's hot, because in our last row, we do get the Queen of Pentacles coming out, and she speaks of fertility and everything else. She speaks of abundance, a nurturing caregiver, and she's even about her money. She's a queen of money. Coming out with that Two of Swords, she's blind to something, or she was blind to something. Oh, and there goes a confirmation about this Queen of Pentacles being blind to something regarding money. And this is like the fourth money card that we've gotten on this spread, because we do get the sudden wealth card. We do get the 10 of Pentacles twice. And then we also get this victory, which It doesn't speak of money. But when we're talking about this court and we're talking about a property coming out and Ten of Pentacles, that is definitely regarding money. Showing up right in that last row, somebody was blind to something regarding this money. And it's also this Queen of Pentacles that's coming out as being blind to something. And she was also blind to the fact that she's getting ready to get in prison. She's getting ready to go to jail. She's getting ready to get locked up regarding this money because you see, the situation has started to boil over. You know, is about to erupt because they did not diffuse it. And they did not even see some things when talking about this money because something has come to a final end regarding the celebrations, regarding the sudden wealth, and regarding this brand new beginning in love. There is no brand new beginnings in love or celebrations, and there is no victory. And matter of fact, there's no community even, you know.